I have just said to Bill that he reminds me of Elf. Do it again, Bill.
No, I can't now. Not on the show.
Oh, even just speaking like that sounds like Elf to me.
That movie. I love Will Ferrell. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I love Will Ferrell in that movie. Just his sincerity.
Amazing.
You sit on a throne of lies. That's good stuff.
Off camera, that was significantly more dramatic and much
I,
better.
well, that's what you get for the private viewing. It's when it goes into public, it's a whole different thing.
Anyway, welcome to our Christmas special, everyone. Subtext, all
What
five,
do what
whatever.
do you know about Santa? Do you believe Santa exists in the world?
Well, obviously, most people watching will know that Santa comes from the kind of interruption of Christian culture with like pagan winter
Yep.
rituals. Comes from mainly Sinterklaas, which was the Dutch colonists brought to America. Before that, it was born out of the 4th century St. Nicholas. It was Greek.
Right.
So Santa has travelled through time in a variety of different guises. And of course, we've arrived at the Santa that we might know of here in the West now, because really of Coca-Cola.
Yes, the one day I do not have a Coca-Cola with me.
I know, it's crazy. Anyway, we're going to talk
Had I
about
known.
Santa. Not just
Okay.
because it's Christmas, but because actually it's a really, really interesting. Santa brings up a lot of interesting behaviours, I think, in people.
Okay.
Did you believe in Santa as a child?
Yes.
I
For a
did
while.
completely. I really did.
And
I,
when
I
did you give it up? A year or two ago?
no, but I was actually quite old to completely let go of it.
Okay.
I think because I remember starting secondary school and nobody at secondary school believed in Santa Claus. At age 11, everybody was over it. But I remember being very conscious of how sad I was that I had to admit defeat, that I could no longer deceive myself about it because I'd known for so long that, spoiler alert, Santa was really my mum. He was
Yeah.
an
And
excellent Santa.
and having met your mom, I could imagine her looking great in that suit.
But also my mum is very theatrical. And she also is extremely generous and she never does anything by halves. So Christmas and Santa and the magic of that was always very important in our home.
Okay.
So I felt very sad when I, as I said, had to kind of give it up. I was really rather forced to. I could have kept on believing, even in delusion, knowing I was deluded
Yeah.
for a lot longer. But it's exactly the kind of thing that I love, isn't it? It's something that is, I know the truth of it, but I don't need to be bothered by that. I just like the story. I like the fable. I like the magic.
Is that because you want to believe that there's people out there or someone out there doing some sort of mystical thing that involves you getting goodies?
It is definitely to do with the mystical element of it. I found it thrilling to think that he'd be flying through the air in a sleigh.
Hmm.
I really did. I mean, that to me was just mind blowing. And if everything, the twinkly noise of it, the elves.
In the 90s or the 2000, well, all the way back I think till the 50s, but there was a whole thing in America where NORAD, which is our like our defense system,
Mm.
tracked Santa Claus across the country. Is there a similar analog in the UK?
Yeah, there's I remember when Imogen was little, we did all of this,
Yeah,
um, tracking Santa
sure.
online. But then we were also out on the front lawn, putting down essentially landing strips and, that kind of thing when
Yeah.
she was little. I think
It
the
was
myth
your idea though, wasn't it?
the myth of it
Yeah,
is the thing that moves, isn't it? So
sure.
the shape of the myth changes a little bit over time. Anyway, the reason why Santa, yes, it's Christmas, but it's because I was looking for Christmas art, and this is, I think, our third or our fourth Christmas special, maybe even our fifth now, I can't remember. But I've always found it easy to find art about winter for us to talk about.
Sure.
And it's easy to find images of Santa, but it's perhaps less easy to find art proper about Santa Claus, possibly because so many people think it's rather silly.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, it's commoner, right? It's lowbrow.
yeah. By the way, I'm terribly sorry, but my eye is twitching so badly.
No one's noticing but you.
No, really, it's like I just caught a glimpse of myself on the screen there, and I could see it up and down. Anyway, the pressure of Christmas is getting to me. But I found this work by Ed Wheeler, which of course is humorous.
Yeah.
Ed Wheeler, I think about 2011, started a series in earnest where he inserts himself as Santa into some of the famous paintings from the canon of Western art history.
It's a pretty good job, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you go on his website, there are so many examples. There are really very funny, and I think it was born out of his commercial work. He's, you know, I think quite a well-regarded commercial photographer and had a lot of clients. And every year he would send a Christmas card, and every year he would do something like this. And then he thought, well, why not just actually make this into a series that I release to the wild, so to speak.
Sure.
This one's after Toulouse-Lautrec's at the Moulin Rouge, The Dance.
Hmm.
An immediately recognisable style of painting for anyone who knows anything about
It's
French
actually
art of
very well done.
the 19th century. But actually, it is brilliantly done. The Santa making that wonderful and jolly movement of the dance as
Bit of
he,
a jig.
yes, he careens through the dance hall at the Moulin Rouge. But there's lots of examples. Anyway, the thing that I also found interesting about it was he's quite, open, obviously, about his process, what he does. He's not trying to kid anyone on that these are original paintings or anything. We're supposed to get the joke. It's not a cruel kind of humour. It's not an in-joke. It's obvious.
Yeah.
But it did make me think about, sort of seeing behind the curtain, not just actually for Santa Claus, but just generally in photographs. I wonder how good we are as photographers of, at revealing what goes into them. And I wanted to ask you about this a bit more because I've spoken to you many times and actually with my students as well about what it takes for you to make some of the more complicated photographs
Yeah.
that you've made. And whether that's something that
Yeah.
you choose to conceal or whether you are okay with being upfront about what you do to make a
Oh,
photograph
I've
that it's out
I've
for.
done long talks at places and filmed them. You can find them on YouTube of me talking about exactly how I made a bunch of the things that I made, the sort of conceptual stuff.
Hmm.
And it usually starts very much like this, where you're taking a bunch of pictures and you're trying to light them such that they'll fit into a larger composition, and then you problem solve. It's like, oh crap, well, how do I get it to look like his hair is the right color? Okay, I guess I got to reshoot the hair and I got to redo this, or maybe I can find another picture that works in this way, or and I'm not I mean, I'm good at it, but I'm not as good at it as a lot of people. So it's when I see really well done stuff like this Caravaggio rip, it's just like, well, man, I wish I had that kind of skill. To me, I look at that and I think, all right, somebody must, somebody got a Santa suit and lined it all up and did the whole thing and lit it and stuck him in there. I've done a lot of situations where it's like, okay, let's replace the face on Santa with somebody else's face and then put that whole Santa in something, or, not that specific concept, but that kind of thing. Um, Usually it's sort of you have an idea and then you figure out how you can actually pull it off. Is
Mm.
basically how it goes. What really frustrates me is when I see other photographers who have the money and time and size to actually do the things for real, as opposed to sort of hacking them together in Photoshop.
Doesn't doing it your way though test your metal, so to speak? Doesn't it actually make you in many ways superior?
Well, I think it's scrappy, you know.
Mm.
Um, I think it's fun to see how much I can do with how little. There's
Yeah.
a weird picture I took once of of my friend Cisco pulling my friend Iran up from this tube, and this monster's coming out of another tube. And it all started because they were doing construction on the street a few blocks away, and these tubes were sitting there in this big pile of gravel. And I like took a picture of that. I was like, oh, that would be fun. And then
Mm.
had friends over to mimic the things inside. And then, it just kind of like built layer upon layer until it got into something that looked cool. But it was just like, oh, look, they're doing construction over there. That tube looks good. It looks like a Mario Brothers game.
Don't you ever think, though, that it would be nice to just show the photograph and have people. Again, it's not that I expect to believe it as such,
Yeah,
but that there is a moment of just belief and
sure.
a kind of lovely naivety of seeing
Yeah. I
that
think,
immediacy of just looking at something without having to know how it's happened.
sure. I did that picture of the my friend Anna like climbing up this ladder on the rooftop, reaching
Mm.
for the moon. Like I still think that one's pretty effective. Um, yeah, it's sometimes fun just to imagine that, you're making things that couldn't exist. Because so much of my other work is very grounded. That's the stuff that's sort of out there and weird. I need to do
Yeah.
more of it. I've
I'm
been
just
lazy.
thinking though about, equivalencies between painting and photography. The artist stands at their easel and creates a painting over, let's say, many weeks.
Sure.
And, this is an incredible generalization, but the artist isn't showing us every step of the painting,
Yeah.
because to do that would mean the painting could never be finished, unless of
Sure.
course they photograph it as it goes along or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas I think photographers, is it a kind of self-consciousness about the fact that we're tricksters? We're faking it somehow in photographs. The image,
Yeah, yeah.
this kind of
You do,
irony, isn't it? That we
you,
think
you
that
don't want
photographs are
people to know
true.
how easy it actually was to do sometimes. And then sometimes the little things are so incredibly hard and people don't care at all.
I just wonder if sometimes it's okay to believe what we see. Or,
Sure.
in the case of Santa, it's okay for us to believe in something that is preposterous because it
Well,
might bring.
Santa and a Caravaggio, like you better believe it because that's just super fun and silly.
But this is applicable broadly in life, isn't it? I mean, would you say that you, I think I know the answer, would you say that you are happy to kind of abdicate common sense and just leave yourself
Uh,
open to possibility of something that's absurd or something that's fantastical?
I tend to rebel against that idea.
Why
I want to
though?
know. I don't
Why?
know.
Why?
I don't know. It's like I'm more satisfied with the real than I am with the surreal.
More satisfied with the real, yet you're a photographer.
I know. It's the irony, right? I want to be the one that can manipulate things. I don't want other people to manipulate me.
Mm.
That's a very small glass of Coca-Cola, by the way.
It's a bit mean, isn't it?
I'd gulp that down in a single
It's like
swig.
a
It's a
thimble.
shot glass of Coke.
Anyway, I think we all know, we mentioned at the beginning, where does the kind of the myth of Santa come from? And, it seems very distant in many ways between that 4th century St. Nicholas
Yeah.
figure that's travelled across continents and travelled through time to then end up on a Coca-Cola advertiser's drawing board. Haddon Sundblom was tasked with creating something for the holiday. And actually, even the fact that I've started calling this something for the holiday,
As opposed to Christmas?
as opposed to Christmas, is so jarring.
It's so 21st century of you.
It's very American of me.
Yeah, well,
And I'm
this is
certainly
America,
not
yes.
American.
No, that's one thing you definitely are not.
I was actually, just as a little aside for a minute, I was reading, maybe this is belief gone mad, that soon the Trump administration want to be able to have the right to check
Your social media?
social media before
If you're
allowing
crossing
entry.
into America, yeah. If you come in, yeah.
Mm, that's a bit of a bummer. I'll need to rewatch all our videos and check that I've not said
Well, to be
something.
fair, I had to fill out a visa just to come to London next week. I had to take pictures of myself and do a whole thing.
But do you feel a kind of hostility in that action?
Actually, quick aside. I was visiting my sister 2 days ago down in DC, and we decided to go to a DEA museum, which is the Drug Enforcement Administration. For
Hmm.
some reason, the Drug Enforcement Administration in DC has a museum, and we thought it would be a kitschy thing to go see. And so we tried to go there, and we couldn't get into the building because my sister did not have what's called a real ID with her, which is a like new version of their license that's like harder to get. So basically, she had to show her papers to enter a federal building that she technically owns, 1/300 millionth of. And I am really offended by that. I don't think that, you know, they should have the right to bar you from federal buildings unless you show ID. That seems really not un-American to me. Um, so yeah, things like that happen. It's weird.
Hmm. By the way, I am coming to New York
When?
next Christmas.
Next year? That's like forever from now.
Well, a lot can happen. I might not come, but I might.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the pause that keeps you going.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this is such a crazy thing that the entire Western community
Conception.
of children
Yeah.
has adopted this Santa.
Yeah.
Why should children adopt this Santa? Why not stay with the Santa that predates, the 1930s? I mean,
Yeah, but
Santa.
you could look at a Victorian Santa, but why that Santa? Why not the 1720 Santa, or Saint Nick or whatever?
Well, I just wonder about, the whole thing that happens through secularization, movement away
Sure.
from religion. And I know that this Santa, I know that Haddon Sundblom was very influenced by the poem, not a creature was
Which
stirring.
was the night before Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is from like 1822.
Hmm.
So there's mention there of St. Nicholas.
Yep. Saint
Um,
Nick. Yep.
so, he's been present. It's just that
Sure.
it
You
strikes
don't
me.
like the commercialization of it, the fact that it's a corporation doing it.
Well, it's not that I don't like it as a principle, no, but I also wonder if I'm just curious about how it's happened that this has become so powerful in our
Is I,
collective
it,
consciousness.
what I find interesting is that the hat with the fur trim and the coat with the fur trim,
Yeah.
but the belt is brown, not black, which is like universally sort of today. His gloves are not black. The toggles on his shirt are not like white or whatever. It's interesting how there might, and he's holding, for God's sakes, a whip to whip the reindeer with.
Well, that's not very PC, is it?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, animals were harmed in the making of this commercial, that kind of thing.
I don't know why
Um,
I'm laughing. You're quite right. Um, I mean, the fact is also that Coca-Cola, the red Santa that we all recognize,
yeah,
they're the people that brought red into this because it aligned with their branding.
sure. Red and white.
Yeah,
And,
and by the time we get to 1940 when this one was made, even by 1940, this vision was so embedded in American consciousness as Santa that
mhm.
it's got stuck there. Anyway, my next question really is, where's Santa going? Not just back to the
Historically
North
or
Pole.
on Christmas Eve, because he has to go to all the little children's houses and land on their roofs and eat cookies, which is why he's so chubby. Where's Santa going? Do you think kids today believe in Santa?
I did a quick poll today at school. Bearing in mind I teach older children, so this is like social napalm.
Did
Um,
any of them say yes?
some of the little ones have said, "Oh, they talk quite sort of nostalgically about believing in Santa because it's perhaps not so distant and they're not so self-conscious as they
Sure.
would be even in, by the time lots of them come back after this Christmas, this first
Yeah.
Christmas when they are 11,
Yeah.
there is a difference in them. And maybe it's
Really?
because this is the Christmas where they really have to consolidate their beliefs about
This
these
is where the
things.
line gets crossed.
Well, yeah, because they're with older kids all
Yeah.
the time. Even
Yeah.
if they don't have their older siblings,
Yeah.
they have 1,000 older kids that are gonna be mean to them
Yeah.
if they declare that they still believe in Santa.
You know what's interesting though is like, your argument is that you can believe in like that the realness of the thing that I want, right?
I'm not
Is sort
arguing
of
with you. I was asking you. There's a
no,
difference.
okay, no, but hold on a second. The realness of the thing is something that you feel that I need to like let go of, right? And sort of accept the illusion of the thing.
Well, I'm just interested in why you don't accept illusion when you're a photographer.
Because it makes me uncomfortable. Because then I don't know what to trust.
But you create things that aren't trustworthy.
Yeah, rarely I do, yes. But I think that usually they are so far out of, well, actually, no, that's not true.
I know.
I don't know. I should have the power, but no one else should. I don't know how else to
Oh,
say
now
it
we
that's
get into the
satisfying.
nitty gritty.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is
But
not a
it's
Christmas
weird.
miracle.
Most of the time that I do that, though, I don't like it. Like I don't enjoy that power most of the time.
Are
The things
you
that I like the
sure?
most are the least manipulated.
Well, Bill, I mean,
In my own work, I mean.
I want to believe you.
Maybe this whole thing is just an illusion. I'm just trying to pull one over on you that I'm actually Banksy and I just haven't told you that kind of thing.
I mean, if we were really smart intellectuals about art, we would be talking now about the value of image, wouldn't we? And truth. We're
In
very good.
America and yeah,
And this is something that is so important, I think, for us to talk about, even if we're not art historians and intellects.
sure.
The fact is that we should be scrutinizing and investigating, interrogating all the time the relationship between truth and image because we live in a world of image. That's what we are doing.
More so every single day.
Exact. So this is why Santa is kind of like this extraordinary vehicle now for this in my mind. I've really sort of taken up on it.
Well, you know what's funny about it though is that I am a Coke drinker. That's like my one sort of vice in the world.
Mm,
But the funny thing is that I know the facts of Coke and connection between Coke and Santa. And I've seen the history and I've read the articles and I know it all. However, in my head, there is no connection between Santa and Coca-Cola.
mm,
Like there's nothing specific about Coca-Cola. Yes, they use Santa in their commercials. So does 100 other companies. Because I wasn't there at the origin of it all. I see Santa as Santa, and yes, Santa's everywhere looks like this, but it doesn't really matter that Coca-Cola created it in the 1920s or 30s to me. Just
mm.
because it's like, okay, so now there's Santa and there's Coke, and Coke uses Santa in their commercials. That does not make me love Coke because it's green, red and white, and Santa's red and white, and somehow I have nostalgia about Coca-Cola because of that. I do know that they're just a product of sugar water, right?
Mm. I was speaking when we were walking through Bournemouth the other day, Bournemouth Gardens as it goes down to the pier.
Yeah.
Um, Always put on like a light display and there's a big outdoor ice rink and so on as you walk down. It's very nice. But I was reflecting on when Imogen was very little and one year Santa came to town in a Coca-Cola lorry
Oh, wow.
and I took Imogen down to see it. And there are photographs from us. Our Christmas photograph is next to a Coca-Cola truck. And even
Is she,
better is that
yeah.
she was at the age where she had her two front teeth were missing. So it looked like she'd simply drunk too much Coke.
Did she cry like, "Oh my God, Santa's been ruined by commercialization by the Americans"? Is that like how it
Those
went? Or
fucking Americans.
yes, yeah.
No,
They've
she.
got to own everything.
But anyway, I just thought it was a funny thing. You know, here we are in good old Blighty. We're not immune to this.
Yeah, it is a. But do you see nostalgia when you look at this picture? Does it give you warm and fuzzies?
It does, but you know, does this give me a warm and fuzzy feeling?
No,
No. Does seeing the Toulouse-Lautrec original painting give me a fuzzy feeling?
more so than this.
It does actually, and then I start to think about, you know, it's almost like the codification of visual language, where we are triggered obviously by certain things to feel certain ways.
Hmm.
But it's just, I think, because of the scaffolding around Christmas and the nostalgia generally about this time of year, we tend to amplify our fuzzy feelings, I think, about this,
Yep.
more particularly this. But actually, that happens to me all the time when I'm seeing image.
Is it also because of the 20s and 30s and 40s paintings are because they're painted in that style, that sort of Norman Rockwell-y kind of style, that mid 20th century style,
I don't know.
that we look at them with like a weird warm nostalgia? I wonder
I
if the
think,
people at the time thought of them the same way, and if a equivalent photograph would not have the same feeling to us.
well, I think actually what was interesting is I was looking at Norman Rockwell for this, and I haven't included him because I realised I don't sometimes really like Norman Rockwell, and I think it's because I'm not American,
Yeah,
so I don't
his stuff is very American.
I don't have the same, almost like I have the same references in one way, but I don't feel the same.
Yeah,
It's funny because then I think about, well, what's my equivalent? And actually, I would say Victorian Christmas is much more the thing in Britain.
but
That
to
would,
some extent, Dickens created Victorian Christmas too.
sure. So then again, this is about how we travel through time with our customs and how they become warped by society. And
I think it's just that some guy invented it for you guys and some company invented it for us, and you're upset about that.
well, one is a literary great and the other is the demise of people's pancreases.
Yes, probably that too.
Anyway, on that happy note, ho ho ho.
Oh ho ho!
And it's jolly nice to see you.
I know him.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.